What's going on, everyone? Nuclear Ninjas here, and today we're checking out another crazy unique pick in the Little Jungle Cup. That's right, I have an Obstagoon under 500 CP. Like Mandibuzz, Obstagoon is a Pokemon that is normally only available at levels that would put it well above 500 CP, so you have to get a low-level egg to obtain one. I struggled for a while trying to make Goon work in Little Cup with a double Dark team pairing it with Scrafty, but it just wasn't working out in this meta. There are a lot of flyers and Scoruppy running around shutting down counter users, while Dark and Ghost types are relatively rare. After struggling for a while and coming up empty, I eventually went with the high-level GBL strat of copying Wallower. The team is Obstagoon lead with counter, cross-chop, Night Slash, Shadow Venonat with Confusion and Poison Fang, and Shadow Venomoth with Confusion and Poison Fang. Both the Venonat and Venomoth also have Frustration, but we haven't had a chance to TM Frustration away in about 76.4 years, so effectively they're both single-moved Pokemon. Also, my Shadow Venonat is a rank 1, so everyone should be really impressed. With all that said, let's get into the battles. So, picking up my first match right away, we are going up against Umanirioshak. I have no idea what that was. Anyway, we get a Farfetch'd lead. This is an ABB team, so I'm going to swap out into Venomoth right away. I'm going to blur out a notification, and then I'm going to throw this Poison Fang at the Swinub. So, obviously the Poison Fang is resisted here, but I'm mostly just trying to lower the defense so the confusions deal more, and the opponent actually lets it go through, so I'm like, okay, he let it go through. I'll just take shield advantage and come with the Obstagoon and farm down, and probably have most of a move loaded to hit the Farfetch'd with, and then Venonat should be able to close out endgame with the Poison Fangs. Now, I did change how I played this team a bit partway through. Low battery notification. You can tell this says super smooth. Anyway, I changed it up. I started using Venonat as the safe switch and Venomoth as the closer, just because Venonat's a bit bulkier and Venomoth hits harder. But these are, this was my first set with this team, so I was still kind of getting used to it. I literally had just obtained the number of candies I needed to give a second move to my Shadow Venonat, because I previously maxed out a Venomoth for the Ultra League and converted all of my candies. Anyway, the opponent brings out Drifloon onto the Venonat, and this is fine. We're going to be able to shield this up, farm down, and have a Poison Fang loaded for the Farfetch'd. So this isn't going to KO, especially after the debuff, but it's going to deal a decent chunk of damage, and I'll be able to throw 2 confusions here, and the opponent gets to a move. This is an Aerial Ace. It will KO the Venonat, but it's only a Leaf Blade. We can double resist that, tank it, and take the win with the confusion we already snuck through. So pretty comfortable win the first battle. That one I basically just sort of, I don't want to say I algorithmed the opponent because I swapped out of the lead, but they had no good response to the confusion poison bugs in the back, so pretty much just a form of algorithming, although not the triple hard counter form. Anyway, next match we get Obstagoon to Vigoroth. This is terrible, and you're going to see here in a moment why I decided to start safe swapping Venonat instead of Venomoth, because I let this body slam go, and yeah, you don't let moves go on Shadow Venomoth. That just doesn't work. So the opponent is going to get to a body slam on the Venonat here, and I'm like, oh god, what do I do here? I guess I'll shield and farm down and see if I can turn this around somehow. But it's looking bleak, and there's a Skarmory in the back. Yeah, this is very bad. Now, if I'd safe swap the Venonat, they wouldn't have been able to KO me right away with the Vigoroth. I would have baited out the Skarmory. I would have been able to get a decent farm on the Goon and potentially flip this around. Like, I'm not saying I definitely would have won, but it would have been a much closer match if I would have switched in the Venonat. So anyway, we have to shield the Sky Attack, and now there's 2 shields and a Scoruppy in the back, and that's GG. Not really anything I can do to come back from that. Picking my next battle, going against Hibana 0723, and we have Goon into Execute. So this is a very positive matchup for Goon. I'm not going to bother switching because I'm assuming my opponent's going to switch. They bring out a Wooper, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to throw the Night Slash real quick before I dip out of here, and I actually get a shield, and then for some reason, oh, okay, yeah, I guess it was after, you're about to see, I'm like, okay, this is a non-stat body slam from a Wooper. This won't do as much. And it was that moment that I officially decided, okay, Venonat is now the designated safe swap of this team, or counter swap, or just Venomoth is much better as a closer because it's much glassier, basically. And I'd rather save my shields and use them on Venomoth than on Venonat. So, body slam coming through, we're going to have to shield that up. The good news is I got a huge farm there, so I've got poison fangs loaded, and I'm going to be able to just unload these double poison fangs on the Swinub, and even though they're resisted, they're going to put a decent amount of shield pressure on, or if it doesn't put a decent amount of shield pressure on, at the very least, it's going to put him low enough that I can farm down. And now it's just Execute versus Goon in the one shield. There is no chance for Execute here. The confusions are doing nothing, and I'm way spammier than him, so there's no way he's going to get to 2 charge moves before I can Night Slash him down. I get the boost. I'm just going to call this right now. That did not matter. I would have won this even if I hadn't gotten the boost. So, get to this next Night Slash, and with the boost, this is definitely going to KO. I think it might KO without the boost. Either way, I could have countered down well before he got to another charge move to actually finish me. So, I'm a passenger. I mean, I'm not even actually moving, but you know, moving into the next match against Yato Chico. I kind of missed that name because I was commenting on the passenger notification from my GPS jumping me halfway to China or whatever happened there. Anyway, throwing the Night Slash on the Wooper, I get a shield, and then the Wooper is going to throw here. I'm going to let this go, and then I'm pretty sure I swap into the Venonat at this point because I do want to preserve at least a little bit of health on smooth catch on that next body slam, just because if there's something in the back that hard counters, the opponent swaps into Scoruppy and says GG. I don't know if that was a miss swap or if they just had absolutely no response to a Venonat, but either way, my guess is maybe they saw bug poison and made the call to swap before they actually realized it was a Venonat. Could be an explanation for that. Anyway, jumping into the next battle, we're going up against Ol Nerman. And Ol Nerman has a Skrelp. This is actually a great lead because even though Skrelp is bad for Goon, it's great for both of my back line, which is always kind of nice to see. So anyway, we're just going to let this go through. Again, the plan at this point now is officially save shields for Venomoth and sweep endgame. The opponent brings out a Chinchou. I'm going to get to a Poison Fang here. Poison Fang deals a decent amount of damage to Chinchou, and I get the confusion damage through, but unfortunately I don't quite make it to a second Poison Fang. Anyway, this Chinchou is easily in farm down range. I have to call it. I successfully call the Bubble Beam, and now we're looking great, because I should be able to Night Slash the Skrelp if it decides to come back in. What's the opponent going to do? They actually bring a Scoruppy in, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is over, because at this point I just throw the Night Slash and then fully confusion down the Scoruppy and Skrelp, shielding everything. Not anything my opponent can do about this. I'm expecting another back out. Yep, Skrelp goes down to the confusion damage, and they don't even bring Scoruppy back in. GG. So you can tell, first of all, this team is extremely fast, just in terms of the length of the battles. I pick up my PvP reward encounter, and it's a Frillish, which is amazing just to see something that isn't a legendary, because the current legendary isn't useful, and I think it's Genesect. Yeah, the current legendary was Genesect when I did these battles. I did them today. I don't know why. I'm not sure what the legendary is. Anyway, Genesect's not useful, so I pick up the PvP encounter, pick up my rating change, and that was a solid set. So overall, I had a ton of fun with this team. Obstagoon covers the weaknesses of Venonat Moth well, and it's just so satisfying to watch super effective Confusions shred and Little Cup. That said, overall Vigoroth is just a stronger pick. The only advantages to Goon I can think of are it beats Drifloon and it's rare enough to draw views on YouTube. Anyway, like I said, I was having trouble team building for Goon, so if you have an idea, drop a comment below. Also, like the video if you liked it, dislike if you disliked it, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future.